Chapter 321 to 323. After hearing Tsukihai's question, the healed-up Shino got up and entered the temple. The other three curiously followed him. Corridor by corridor, they observed everything around them curiously. Tsukihai was able to notice what this place is. After walking for a while, 4 of them arrived at the main compartment. At this time, Shino walked towards a stone pillar in the main compartment with a blank expression. Then he lightly pressed on the stone pillar and a hidden grid was revealed where a scroll with a black case was placed. Tsukihai took out the scroll from the hidden grid and immediately opened it. From the contents, this scroll too recorded the Chimera technique. After comparing the information in this scroll with that of the information she remembered from the previous scroll thanks to her Sharingan, Tsukihai noticed that as she expected, most of the information was accurate and same, just the most critical detail was tempered with. Sure enough, it's just as I expected, muttered Tsukihai softly. After that she folded back the scroll and put it inside her homusubi cloak. Then she again looked at the blank Shino and asked, "What exactly is this temple?" "Anchor Vantion," replied Shino in a mechanical tone. "Anchor Vantion." Shisui and Itachi muttered in confusion as they glanced at each other with a puzzled expression. Tsukihai was silent. She knew that there was a giant air fortress in the land of sky, but she didn't know whether it was this temple or not. As such she asked, "What is Anchor Vantion?" Shino replied, "The Anchor Vantion is the aerial fortress of land of sky." "This is indeed aerial fortress," muttered Tsukihai and then asked, "Can this fortress fly?" Shino nodded then shook his head as he added, "It is capable of flight but it's not ready yet as the power system of the fortress has yet to be completely optimized." Tsukihai asked, "How to optimize the power system?" Shino said, "From the power room." "Then what are you waiting for? Lead the way," instructed Tsukihai. Shino nodded and walked towards the exit of the main compartment. Under the leadership of Shino, the other 3 quickly arrived at the power room of Anchor Vantion. Looking around, Shisui said in surprise, "I never expected that the land of sky that was destroyed by us would still hide something like an aerial fortress." Itachi observed the seals engraved on the walls and asked, "Is this fortress really capable of flight?" Tsukihai crouched down and took a closer look at the fuinjutsu engraved all over the power room. Theoretically it is capable of flight, but the amount of fuel it requires to do so is too much for a single individual or even a few individuals to provide. Shisui asked, "Which fuel is used here?" Tsukihai said, "Both mechanisms probably work. That is to say, both electricity and chakra would work. But in terms of efficiency using chakra would be better for the long-term functioning of this fortress, and that's where the problem arises. The chakra amount it requires would be humongous." Shisui also looked at the fuinjutsu engraved on the floorings and walls and asked, "Does that mean that this fuinjutsu is still effective?" Tsukihai nodded, "Some parts are damaged, but most of it is still working. It would only require some work and testing and they can be continued to be used. However, if I have to say then it would be better to change the seals. Instead of repairing these seals, it would be better to redesign the entire mechanism as these seals are somewhat inefficient." Among the 3 of them, Tsukihai's genjutsu proficiency is the least. Now it's not that she is weak in genjutsu, but Uchiha Shisui and Uchiha Itachi are just too good when it comes to genjutsu usage. Similarly, Tsukihai is the most proficient in fuinjutsu among the 3. Now it's not that the other 2 lack fuinjutsu knowledge, it's just that Tsukihai is much superior in fuinjutsu compared to them. As such, she can better analyze the seals in the power room. Therefore, she said that redrawing the seals would greatly improve efficiency and safety. Thinking of this, Tsukihai was planning to design a new fuinjutsu mechanism. Casually asked Shino, "And what were you people planning to do after you have started Anchor Vantion?" Shino replied, "Bury the 5 great shinobi villages and Amage Cure. We plan to start with Konohagakure." As soon as they heard this, both Shisui and Itachi were shocked and uncontrollable killing intent was directed towards Shino. Unlike other Uchiha, the village comes before clan for both Shisui and Itachi, and whoever dares to harm the village is a greater enemy for them. Shisui said coldly, "You fool, you still plan to destroy Konoha? What you did the last time was not enough already. And do you really think that the likes of this decaying aerial fortress alone can destroy Konoha completely? You are being too arrogant." Shino instinctively shivered, and said, "The weapon system of Anchor Vantion is functioning properly. And this fortress contains a chakra cannon that can completely wipe out an entire shinobi village within seconds. Konohagakure wouldn't have held much longer even with their barrier cover. You." Shisui was suddenly speechless. Itachi on the other hand breathed a sigh of relief. "Fortunately, we acted on the right opportunity and subdued him first, otherwise the village would have been in danger." Tsukihai nodded indifferently, but there was still some lingering fear. Even if Shino has overestimated the capabilities of the chakra cannon, there's no telling whether the chakra cannon is not capable of what he says. After all, the Reikage claimed that their chakra cannon is capable of destroying the moon, so there is no telling if this chakra cannon is not capable of destroying other shinobi villages. And even Kuroto is not sure whether he would have been able to save the village in such a situation. Because the cannon could reduce Konoha to dust in less than a few seconds. Tsukihai asked now, and what is the source of fuel you plan to use? Shino said, captured shinobi, civilians, as well as Morio, I plan to extract chakra from them. Shisui and Itachi sighed, this guy is too evil, even dares to involve unrelated civilians. While Tsukihai nodded slightly, she has already expected Morio to be the source, although civilians and captured shinobi were a surprise. It's not so strange considering those prison cages and the fact that Fuinjutsu is running throughout the fortress. Anyway, this only makes things easier for her. Initially, she was considering how to resolve Morio. Since Morio is the other half of Miko, so as long as Miko is alive, Morio will also not disappear. Even if killed, he would not cease to exist. For that reason, he can only be sealed, not killed. However, if he has to be sealed, then instead of sealing him at the sealing shrine in the land of demons or somewhere unsafe, it is better to seal him here at Anchor Vantion. This way he will also be useful in running Anchor Vantion. It can be said that this idea kills two birds with one stone. Just when Tsukihai finalized the plans, Shisui asked her, now what to do with Shino? If he is handed over to the village, then I am worried then intelligence on Amatsukami will be extracted out during the torture process. Did Kuroto-san give you any order regarding this? Shino has witnessed all three Susanoo. He also knows that Uchiha Tsukihai is not dead. Uchiha Shisui is also a member of Amatsukami and there is also a third Homusubi, so he cannot be handed over to the village. Tsukihai nodded and said, that's why I am going to seal him here inside the power room. To be exact, I will extract Morio out of Shino, then he will be killed and Morio will be sealed here. This way Anchor Vantion will also become functioning. Shisui looked at Tsukihai for a while then asked, do you want to run this aerial fortress? Tsukihai nodded. Although this fortress is somewhat dilapidated and many of the facilities here are in ruins, the amount of value Anchor Vantion holds is still very much. Not to mention other things, the flight capability and chakra cannon alone make it a terrifying weapon of war. It is obvious for an organization like Amatsukami to hold such things in its hands. And Anchor Vantion can also be used as a base of command. Shisui stared at Tsukihai. To be honest, he doesn't really know Uchiha Tsukihai all that much, therefore, he doesn't trust Tsukihai that much either. The fact that Kuroto-san has given that pair of eternal Manjikyu Sharingan to Tsukihai has surprised him very much. It's only because of Kuroto-san that Shisui is willing to accompany and work under Tsukihai's command. But now the matter of Anchor Vantion came, so he was a bit surprised and asked seriously, does Kuroto-san know about this? Tsukihai was surprised by Shisui's serious words. After thinking a bit she immediately figured out his worries, and nodded, don't worry, I am just following Kuroto-sama's orders. Shisui asked, does that mean that Kuroto-san was aware of the existence of Air Fortress even before? Tsukihai nodded, there were various objectives of eliminating the Land of Sky. Taking control of Anchor Vantion was one of them. This place will now be Amatsukami's base. As for how he knows about the existence of Anchor Vantion, you should have heard Shino's words, right? The part about Shinichi. After a pause, Shisui asked, does that mean Shinichi is also with us? He also joined Amatsukami. Itachi also paid attention to the discussion. The defection of Uchiha Shinichi, who had awakened Manjikyu Sharingan, is definitely a very big loss for the Uchiha clan and the village. To this day, the Uchiha clan has not given up on bringing Shinichi back, but they have been unable to do so despite how much they try. Shisui has blamed himself for this. He feels that he is also partly responsible for Shinichi going rogue and joining Akatsuki organization. It was Shisui who took the responsibility to bring back Shinichi, but he failed to complete it. Tsukihai shook her head. Uchiha Shinichi has not officially joined Amatsukami, but it seems that he had some sort of dispute with Shino. So, he provided some information to Kuroto-sama about Shino and here we are. Both Itachi and Shisui were thoughtful after hearing this piece of news. This also explained many things to them. On the other side, Tsukihai was also silent. The reason she did not reveal Shinichi being undercover in Akatsuki is very simple. A spy is only a spy when him being a spy is unknown to the most, and only known to his contact point. Otherwise, some flaws will appear. Even if Shisui and Itachi are not the kinds of people who will let those flaws be revealed, it is still better to not reveal anything. Moreover, Shinichi was indeed disappointed by his clan and village. Even if he blamed himself for the death of Uchiha Kurumi, he was nonetheless disappointed, so it doesn't seem that he has any plans to come back to his clan for the time being. Therefore, Tsukihei doesn't want to give Shisui and Itachi unrealistic hope. Besides, as long as Shimura Danzo is alive, the return of Uchiha Shinichi would not be a good thing for the Uchiha clan. After all, Shimura Danzo did suffer heavy losses from Uchiha Shinchi, so it is best that Shinichi remain in Akatsuki for now. Shisui put one hand over his eyes, then asked, "Can you arrange a meeting between Shinichi and me?" Tsukihei shook his head. Shinichi is an Akatsuki organization, so he is mostly busy with some or another task, so there is no way to track his whereabouts as he is traveling throughout the shinobi world. Moreover, your identity is too sensitive, whether as Uchiha Shisui or as Homusubi. It would cause too much trouble for him, as well as Konoha. Itachi, who had been silent all the time, suddenly asked, "Is Akatsuki really so powerful?" Tsukihei pointed towards Shino, who was under Genjutsu, and said, "This guy has betrayed Akatsuki, but he should be aware of some extent of power Akatsuki hides. Since you want to know just how strong Akatsuki is, you can get some understanding of that organization from him." Itachi nodded and walked towards Shino. Activating his Manjikyu Sharingan, he looked into Shino's eyes, then questioned, "Who are the members of Akatsuki organization?" Shino was already under a genjutsu cast by Shisui, and with Itachi's extra genjutsu he obviously couldn't resist and immediately fessed up everything that he knew. The members of the Akatsuki organization included Sasori, Kakazu, Uchiha Shinichi, Biwa Juzo, Hirako, him, Setsu. Orochimaru, a former member, but this information was still not public knowledge. Then there was Konan and Tendo Pain. About the two of them, all Shino said was God and Angel. This obviously meant that Shino is unaware of much information on Tendo Pain and Konan. The official members of the Akatsuki organization are all Kage class or higher than Kage class shinobi. Shisui thought of that mysterious masked man with strange space-time jutsu that tried to abduct Yondim-sama's son, and asked, "Are these the only official members of the Akatsuki organization?" Shino nodded. Shisui asked again, "No, this can't be right. I know that there is a one-eyed spiral masked individual in Akatsuki organization. He uses a strange space-time jutsu. Who is he? Is he not in Akatsuki?" The existence of this masked man has really made Shisui very scared. Space-time jutsu is not a joke. Almost no one is your opponent unless he too masters space-time jutsu. Shino's face distorted, and it seemed he was trying very hard to think, but even after a long while of thinking he shook his head. There is no such individual in the organization. Tsukihei thought, the existence of Obito is a secret even within Akatsuki. Currently, there are only 4 individuals in Akatsuki who are aware of his existence. And those 4 people are Pain, Konan, Shinichi, and Zetsu. So it's no wonder that Shino isn't aware of one-eyed masked individual. Shisui was silent after hearing this. At this time, Itachi asked, "What are the abilities of the leader of the Akatsuki organization?" Shino seemed to struggle here, but just a look from Itachi was enough, and he immediately spoke. "Tendo Pain claims to be God. He has God's eyes from the myth. The eyes of Rikudo Sennin, making him an extremely powerful shinobi, far superior to any of the existing Kage." The occasional pause from Shino indicated that he was really afraid of Tendo Pain, and this was even shown when under the effect of Genjutsu. Itachi narrowed his eyes. "Tendo Pain has strength superior to that of all existing Kage?" Shisui asked with a confused expression, "What are God's eyes?" "The Rinnegan." "What? The Rinnegan?" "Yes, the Rinnegan." Shisui muttered, "But Rinnegan has only existed in myths. And there is no solid proof of its existence. How could Tendo Pain have those eyes?" Tsukihei said, "It's not just a myth, the myths of Rikudo Sennin are true. And the Rinnegan that Tendo Pain has is also real." Both Itachi and Shisui looked at each other with shocked expressions. Tsukihei said, "It's not just a myth, the myths of Rikudo Sennin are true. And the Rinnegan that Tendo Pain has is also real." Both Itachi and Shisui looked at each other with shocked expressions. It should be noted that because being under 2 genjutsu at the same time, Shino doesn't have any ability to lie. As such, Shisui turned towards Tsukihei and asked again, "Does Kuroto-san knows of all this information?" Uchiha Tsukihei, who was leaning on the wall with hands over her chest, nodded gently. If anyone other than the current members or former members of Akatsuki is aware of what Akatsuki is truly capable of, then without a doubt it is Hyuga Kuroto, for obvious reasons. Their combined strength is more than enough to destroy entire shinobi villages like Konoha in a matter of a few hours. In the original story, it was Nagato's foolishness that led to the death of most of the Akatsuki members. And despite that, Akatsuki organization still managed to collect 7 of the 9 bijou, and almost caught the Hachibi and Kyubi as well. They even managed to seal part of the chakra of all the 9 bijou inside the Geto Mazo, thus awakening Jubi. Tendo Pain alone killed thousands of Konoha shinobi, almost destroying Konohagakure, the strongest of the 5 great powers. If it weren't for Uzumaki Naruto's strongest jutsu, that being Talk no Jutsu, which made Nagato realize some things, prompting him to give up his life in exchange for bringing back those Konoha shinobi he killed, including Hatake Kakashi, Konoha would have existed in name only. So, it can be understood just how strong Akatsuki is. Uchiha Madara, Uchiha Obito, and his Pain Rikudo, Nagato and his Pain Rikudo, Kabuto, and his Edo Tensei army, which included multiple former Kages, many of the deceased Akatsuki shinobi as well as other Kage class, and elite Jonin class shinobi, 100,000 Zetsu army, Uchiha Sasuke, and his team Taka, Orochimaru and his Otogekure, Uchiha Itachi, Konan, Kakuzu, Sasori, Biwa Juzo, Kisama, Haiden, Deidara, and most of all, the final boss. Otsutsuki Kagaya. Akatsuki was nothing short of a mind-boggling organization filled with the freaks of this shinobi world and could have easily erased the entire shinobi world should their leaders work in the right manner. At this time, Shursui asked again, Kuroto-san is also aware of the Rinnegan? Uchiha Tsukihai, who was leaning on the wall with hands over her chest, said, he is aware of the existence of the Rinnegan that the leader of Akatsuki has. And Shursui, you must be aware of the dojutsu that Kuroto-sama has, right? Shursui nodded. How can he ever forget those eyes? Seeing Shursui nod, Tsukihai continued, so, well, those eyes are Tenseigan and they hold the potential to be on the same level as the Rinnegan. Tenseigan was a dojutsu that Otudo of Rikudo Sennin awakened. Precisely because Kuroto-sama has awakened Tenseigan, he understands the amount of danger a Rinnegan user can have on the world. At this time, Itachi asked, but how is Kuroto-san aware of all this? Tsukihai hurriedly said, to be honest, I am not entirely sure, maybe from Orochimaru, or from Uchiha Shinichi, or maybe from his own intelligence collection or perhaps from some other source, but that's not the point is that the danger Akatsuki poses. This is exactly why he has never revealed the existence of his Tenseigan, because he wants to stay in the dark and deal with the situation appropriately. So, Kuroto-sama wants this aerial fortress, Anchor Vantion, to be the main base of Amatsukami. The existence of Anchor Vantion is unknown to most, other than us 3, Shino and the shinobi of the Land of Sky, as well as Kuroto-sama and Uchiha Shinichi, and perhaps Orochimaru, but unlikely are the only people aware of its existence. Shino would soon be dead, none of us are ever going to reveal such a thing. Orochimaru has betrayed Akatsuki, so it is unlikely that he would want to incur the enmity of Amatsukami at the same time. And Uchiha Shinichi has given his words to not reveal its existence to anyone even in the Akatsuki. The shinobi of the Land of Sky are either all dead or will be dead soon enough, so almost no one would be aware of where the base of Amatsukami is, making it the perfect base. There is one more variable that Tsukihai did not word out, Black Zetsu. Given what exactly Black Zetsu is, and for how long he has existed, it is possible that he is aware of the existence of Anchor Vantion. But even if he is, he has no way to reveal that to Akatsuki, as that would be suspicious. So Tsukihai has to take that risk. And besides, even if Zetsu reveals the existence of Anchor Vantion, finding an aerial fortress in the sky over the entire shinobi continent would be next to impossible even for the Akatsuki and the 5 great shinobi villages. Itachi thought about it, then nodded, while Shursui did the same. At this time Itachi turned to Shino and spoke, there are a few more things I want to know about Tendo Pain. What are the specific powers of Rinnegan? After a long silence, Shino didn't speak anything indicating that he is not aware. Tendo Pain rarely takes the shots himself. Only the old members of Akatsuki like Kakuzu, Sasori, Biwa Juzo, and Orochimaru are probably the only ones aware of some of Tendo Pain's powers. So, even though Shino was very interested in Rinnegan, he did not have any information about it. He has only ever met Pain 3 or 4 times face to face, as such he never even had the chance to explore Rinnegan. So it is completely logical that he is unaware of the abilities of Rinnegan. Understanding that they can no longer obtain any other intelligence from Shino, Itachi and Shursui side. They are of course aware of where the base of Akatsuki is, but even if they know, what good does it do in the end? Tsukihai shook her head, then said to Itachi, now that everything is clear, we have to hurry up. Itachi, you go out, clean up all our traces here and also make sure that no one has escaped. Our objective is to take away this aerial fortress without alerting anyone, so we cannot leave any of our traces behind. Also, leave out a few crow summons outside to make sure that we are aware if anyone comes nearby. Itachi did say that all the shinobi of the Land of Sky have been eliminated, but there is no harm in making sure. It would take some time before they take the flight, so they have to be careful. Yes. Itachi of course understood the situation, so he immediately nodded and left the power room. Then Tsukihei said to Shisui, before we extract Morio out of Shino and seal him here, I need to rearrange the seals here and that will take some time. In the meantime, you take Shino and check the layout of this anchor Vantion, also make sure to see what all things have you stored here since I have placed a seal on Shino restricting the use of Morio's chakra so there is no need to worry about him getting out of control. Shisui nodded and left the power room with Shino. With Shisui and Itachi gone, Tsukihei now paid attention to the power room. The space in the powder room is very large. It is enough to keep Morio sealed here. But to keep Morio sealed here, an extremely powerful seal array needs to be designed, and the seal array must be foolproof. Let's use 4 symbols seal as the core. After a while of consideration, Tsukihei finally decided on 4 symbols seal. 4 symbols seal is the best seal that is specifically designed to keep the Bijou class beings restrained, and if arranged correctly, it also grants the user ability to extract chakra. But a single 4 symbols seal wouldn't be able to keep Morio restricted. It is one thing to seal a Bijou class being inside oneself, and it is another matter altogether to seal a Bijou class being outside. To restrain the huge body of Morio, an array of 4 symbols seal must be designed to ensure safety. To make sure that Morio doesn't break out even by overflowing the array with chakra. And isolation is also very important. Tsukihei does not want others to be able to sense Morio's chakra, so chakra isolation is also required. With the plan formulated, Tsukihei started arranging the seal array. After printing the hand seals, she immediately shouted, "Shadow clone technique." Poof. 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 With a burst of white smoke, 4 shadow clones of Tsukihei appeared next to her. Counting herself, there were now 5 of them in the power room. The 4 symbol seal array to be arranged wouldn't be just simple stacking, but would rather be arranged in a definite shape. For this purpose, several 4 symbol seals have to be activated at the same time. For that purpose, there is a need to use shadow clone. With everything set, Tsukihei and her 4 shadow clone started arranging 4 symbol seal array, and not long after, Tsukihei arranged a pentagram array with 500 individual seals, making the huge power room covered in the sealing symbols that gave off a fluorescent glow. After the array was arranged, Tsukihei breathed, wiped off the imaginary sweat from the top of her mask, and then deactivated the 4 shadow clones. Arranging 504 symbol seals, and keeping all of them activated is a huge burden, even for her. But it was all worth it as this array would perfectly restrain Morio, the chakra extracted from Morio would be more than enough for the functioning of Anchor Vantion, and there would also be no danger of him escaping here.